about second breakfast.
Time for second breakfast.
What's up, everybody? Monster from Breakdowns for Breakfast here with another second breakfast. A couple weeks ago, I did one of these about a show that I had played with my newest band, Deepest Red. And a couple nights ago, I did another show with Deepest Red. And I'm not going to make a second breakfast recapping every show I play. But I did want to do this one for a couple of reasons. We played at a venue called Hangar 1819. You may have heard Danger and I mention it on the show before. It used to be a place called the Blind Tiger. They changed it to Hangar 1819. It's a good-sized venue. It's a pretty well-known venue in North Carolina, specifically in Greensboro, North Carolina. And they get a lot of local bands, but they also get a lot of national touring bands that are sort of kind of like low to mid-level nationals. Like, for example, on their calendar right now, I think Atreyu's coming, Jaluka is coming. That's where Danger saw The Plot and You with Silent Planet and Cane Hill and somebody else. And yeah, so it's a cool venue, and a lot of nationals play there. I've played there a ton of times with different bands, sometimes as a headliner, sometimes as just part of the bill. Opened for Saving Abel there, which I don't remember, but they had one song that people liked. And so, cool venue, nice big stage, usually pretty good sound. But this was a good show. I'm not on here to complain and whine or anything, but just a couple of funky little things that occurred that if you're not a musician and you're not used to playing shows, or maybe you like to go to shows, but you don't really see the behind the scenes stuff, I was going to kind of give you a little bit of that insider scoop, I guess. Because the last time I did one of these about a show, that was a really super laid back kind of deal. But this, Hangar 1819, is more of a legitimate music venue. And like I said, they have a lot of nationals that come through. And so we were opening for a band called We Rise to Fall, which is, I'm good buddies with the guitar player, Jeremy, but they have a little bit of a following, especially around North Carolina. But they were just on tour. I don't remember exactly where, but I know they played a lot of places. So they were, doing their thing. And this was the last night of that tour. And it was like hometown, home state, kind of thing. And we were going to be, kind of in the middle of the set. I'm going to just completely forget band names and everything here. And I'm sorry. And I'm going to purposely omit one band name that I do remember, but I'll explain why in a minute. But anyway, we were set to play like in the middle. And so I got the itinerary a couple weeks before the show. And, again, for those of you that play in bands, this. But if you don't, the show, I believe, was supposed to start at doors at 5, show at 5:30 or something, which is early, but it was a Sunday, so that kind of, makes sense. But so we had to be there around like 4:30. So we get there super early, and all the bands are there. They've got their equipment. We're moving it around. We Rise to Fall sound checking. A lot of times in a situation like this, your headliner is going to set their stuff up, get a nice full sound check, and then kind of just back up, like push their equipment to the back. And then every band kind of just sets their stuff in front of it and plays. It's pretty common. And so they got a nice full sound check, worked out some kinks. The opening bands are not going to get that kind of luxury. They're going to have to throw their stuff up there, tweak it a little bit as you go. And usually that's not a problem. But we'll get there. So first issue that arises. This is an all ages show. And a lot of times when bands show up, they're going to have their girlfriends and their wives and other family members that are going to come. Now, my wife and my 2 little girls all came, which was awesome. There's some really cool pictures of that. I'll try to post a couple when this comes up. And my brother and his wife were also there. My dad, being the ever eccentric, he did come, but he did not come inside. He stayed outside and listened through the building. My wife even offered to pay for him to come in, and he said no, he'd rather just stay outside. It sounded better anyway. So that's fine. I was standing outside for some of the other bands, and I probably agree. I think it sounded really good outside. But anyway, so as people are coming in, they're trying to give you a wristband to signify that you're in the band and you're supposed to be in the building this early. Now, this happens all the time. Do the girlfriends get in free? Do the wives get in free? Do the family get in free? And there's always a little bit of I don't know. It can get really irritating. The door people are just trying to do their thing. So as like the sound checks were going on, the owner or whoever was the manager or whatever, he took one member of every band, and I was the representative of our band, and kind of took us all to the side and said, hey, look, if you guys want to get paid anything, you gotta not everybody can come in for free. You need to pick and choose how you want to do this. If you want to have a guest list and whatever, the promoter was there. We kind of came to an agreement that sort of every band could get one guest, which is, fairly stock, depending on the size of the show and the amount of tickets sold. A Sunday night, mostly, local regional bands, it's not going to be a huge night. So, sure, we said one person per band. I got a little bit of an exception because I was like, well, my wife is coming with our 2 kids. Totally cool. I can pay for her. Not a big deal. Do I have to pay for my 4-year-old and my 7-year-old? Because that doesn't seem like necessary. But they were super cool about that. They said, no problem, let them in. And so anyway, everybody's sound checking. It's getting close to doors open. People are starting to trickle in. And there was some sort of mix up with the lineup. There was going to be a band right before We Rise to Fall that dropped. So they added a rapper. I think that's how this all shook out. And so the lineup was going to be rock band, rapper, us, and then another band, and then We Rise to Fall. So, that's 5 artists. Kind of try to keep things moving on Sunday night. Everybody's got 30 minutes or so. Cool. That's not so bad. Well, as we are hanging out and I'm texting my wife who's on her way, we get told, no, you guys are, the first band's playing. We thought we had, their set and the rapper set and then us. And then we got told, no, you guys are going to go next, which is like, fine. Like I said, most of our people that were going to come were already there. We did have my wife and my kids showed up literally as we started our first song, like perfect timing. And, but we said, okay, we'll kind of go with the flow. What they ended up doing was moving the rapper to the quote unquote headlining spot instead of We Rise to Fall. I don't know if it was a ticket thing. I guess maybe it just looked like he brought more people than any of the other bands. I don't know exactly how or why they did that, but we were like, okay, sure. Why not? So we have our stuff. I think I mentioned this in the last Monster Plays a Show, second breakfast I did. Our bass player, Aaron, is a genius when it comes to sound engineering and all that kind of stuff. So he has all of our sound like in a rack, and in that rack is our wireless and all of our, so we plug into that and have amp modelers and all that kind of good stuff. And we send that signal to the board and then they run it through their house and blah, blah, blah. It's a fairly seamless, situation, but there's always going to be hiccups and problems. Well, we're kind of rushing around. We get up there, we get our stuff set up, and we're ready to play. And we kind of have some feedback and have some issues. Everybody does, especially when you're not going to get a sound check. You're just, rolling. And we start playing the first song, and we're kind of getting some funny looks, and the sound is not great. shout out to our buddy Brandon, who came with Aaron and was basically kind of like our sound man, helping with, our stuff and communicating with the sound man of Hangar 1819. He did a wonderful job. Really appreciate all his hard work. But yeah, the first two songs were very rough as far as the mix and the sound goes. But my brother, who, he's been coming to see me play for almost 30 years now, he's real attuned to live music. And so, he's looking at me and he's like kind of making faces. And then that third song kind of kicks off and he starts nodding and says, like, yeah, there it is. And even in my in-ear monitors, I could hear the change. Still not 100% sure what the hang up was and what we did to fix it, but it did sound better for the rest of the set. So, really cool personal thing for me. I actually, while performing, I jumped off stage and ran up to both my little girls. It was really funny. One of them gave me a hug and was real happy to see me. The other one just had her hands over her ears and made a funny face at me and ran away. So, but it was really, really cool. I used to go see my dad play when I was their age. So it's really, really super neat for me to see them come and hang out. My oldest daughter, she loves this. Like, she really enjoys going to see live music. She's the one that we've taken to see 311 and Baby Metal. And this is the third time, I think, now that they have come to watch me play. And I always love it. So anyway, we play our set. And there's not a ton of people, but the handful of people that we do have in there seem to really be enjoying it and get a lot of nice things are said to us after the set. We're having a good time. The band after us comes on stage, and I'm not going to make a big deal about this, but I just want to give a little bit of band etiquette advice. As someone who has played in front of huge crowds, I've played in front of bartenders and girlfriends, there's a certain etiquette that you should probably have. After we got done playing, we're all kind of hanging out, talking. I'm standing outside with my drummer and talking to my wife, and, we're all kind of talking. My 7-year-old, she goes straight back down in front of the stage because the next band has a female vocalist, and she's really, enjoying it and whatnot. While this band is performing, and they're not bad at all. They have kind of this gothy rock kind of sound, and they have a female vocalist. They were sound checking with some Evanescence, so you can kind of get the idea. As they're performing, there's a handful of people kind of coming in and out. Like I said, it's a Sunday evening. At this point, it's probably around 7-ish, 7:30 or so. And, people have been there for a few hours and, just kind of coming and going. So anyway, they're doing their set. And then as me and the drummer are outside talking, the lead singer of this band starts to basically tell everybody that they need to come inside and come watch them. There's a thin line between trying to amp people up to have a good time and basically saying, hey, if you don't come and watch us, we're not going to be satisfied and you're not doing what you're supposed to do. You paid a ticket to get in. You're there. If I want to stand in the back and watch you versus stand straight in front of the stage and watch you, I get it. It's hard as a musician to run around and jump around and give it your all when it seems like nobody's paying attention. I understand that. But you also, as a front person, there's a correct way and an incorrect way to tell people, hey, we're having a good time up here. If y'all want to come hang out with us, that'd be awesome. Hey, y'all out there in the back, I hope y'all are having fun, blah, blah, blah. There's ways to do that. I won't get into any specifics, but the way she handled it was not great. And it felt very much like almost condescending. Like, you guys should be up here paying attention to us. Aren't we so great that you're missing out by not standing up here in the front? And hey, I've made my feelings on Evanescence very clear. It's not my style of music, so I'm not really digging this. And but on the flip side, my 7-year-old stood there for their entire set, front and center, with like 2 other people. So like she was having a great time. And so then they do this like call and response thing. Bands do this all the time where they kind of like give you a couple of the lyrics and we're going to say this and then you say that. And it was like effing something something and not going to effing take it or something back and forth. And it was like, there's like only 3 or 4 people standing here and one of them is 7. Like, is this really what you're going to do? Like this, kind of know the room, like know what you're, like, it felt very weird. And she even apologized for saying the F word, I don't know, 75 times in front of my 7-year-old, which again, we're not, it's whatever. We've taken her to see plenty of bands that say plenty of bad words. It's not a big deal, but it's just like, there's a time and a place. And Sunday at 7:00 in front of, there's probably 50 people in the entire building and there's 10 standing in front of you. Read the room a little bit. Like this, I don't know. The lack of awareness during all of that really kind of like wowed me. And so they get done and this is about the time that I had to leave. So I don't really know. I saw some clips of We Rise to Fall. Like I said, their guitar player is a good friend of mine. They're really good. If you've never listened to We Rise to Fall, I'd highly recommend them. They're sort of a mix of like big anthemic radio rock with like some metalcore energy and attitude as well. They've got some cool riffs, but then nice big clean choruses. Really good band. Really good band. And then after them was a rapper that had a couple of girls on stage dancing. And I get it. I've played with hip hop artists before. Totally cool. I'm just thankful that I wasn't in there with my little girls while it was happening. That's all. It's just, like I said, it was an all ages show on a Sunday night. It was supposed to be a bunch of rock bands. Then that happened instead. It's kind of a weird, I'm assuming the guys in We Rise to Fall must have known this hip hop artist to bring him on kind of last minute. But I mean, I'm sure he's good. Like I've got no knocks on him. I didn't hear any of the music. I just saw some videos and I saw the girls on stage and just thought, yeah, it's probably good. My kids weren't in there. That's, which is fine. But yeah, that was pretty much the bulk of it. I just kind of wanted to say, like, if you're a person that likes to go see live music, maybe you show up about the time the band starts and you leave about the time the bands are done. But the bands have been there for hours. Like we have to get there so much earlier. It's one of those things where like we played for 30 minutes. I was there for like 6.5 hours. And from what I understand, I don't think we got paid anything, which is fine. We didn't, do it to get paid, but it's one of those things where it's like, it really is a labor of love. Like we're doing this because we have fun playing music and we want other people to have fun and come and see us. That was another thing. And I'm not going to harp on this too much because I don't know the whole spiel behind it, but it said on the flyer that, tickets were $12 in advance, $15 at the door, but they were charging $19 when people were getting there. And I mean, not that that's outrageous for 5 bands or whatever. I don't think that's, out of, whatever. That's a fair price. But it just seemed odd to me that it was 12 and then 15 and then 19 out of nowhere. But I digress. But yeah, it was a fun show. We had a good time. Like I said, we had some technical difficulties. We Rise to Fall is a killer band. We'll definitely play some more shows with them. Just, if you're on stage, and again, I'm not going to say the name of the band, but if you're on stage and you are, interacting with the crowd, think about how you're coming across, thinking about what you're saying, even if you're not having a great time, even if you're frustrated. And look, I'm guilty of this, and I'm sure every band is. You say something, you kind of like, oh, that probably didn't leave a good impression. But, just remember that there are other people in that crowd that might want to book you again, might not want to book you again, depending on how you portray yourself and whatnot. So just, to all my fellow musicians out there, if you're having a rough night, try not to make it obvious, because then people like me will start a podcast and complain about it, and nobody wants that. So anyway, just figured I would give you all a little update on my last gig adventure. I'm not going to do one of these for every show I play because I think that'd be monotonous. I'm just going to do them if something interesting happens, or it's kind of a special thing and I just, wanted to share. And so, yeah, so thanks for hanging out with me, and hope you have a great day.